Okay, so what I'm trying to do, considering the audio channel is working and the video channel isn't, is I'm trying to compare and contrast the two, and they're both set up fairly similarly, and I'm trying to use my signal tracer to do that. But anyway, yeah, so basically what I found is that with the signal tracer, I found where the signal comes out of the other side of the optocoupler, and it comes out through the collector of the transistors inside the optocoupler. So for example, on this one, which is the audio channel, pin 6 is the collector. So if I touch the signal tracer to the collector there, you can hear the audio coming through. But you know, so basically I took that and I just went and traced, you know, the paths through these little transistors. So basically what I'm trying to do is do the same thing over here on the video signal, but you know, this is video, not audio. But basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to listen in for the what I believe is a 30 Hertz vertical sync signal. So if I touch the collector over here, you hear that buzzing. And so basically I'm just trying to see where that buzzing gets lost. So basically what I'm trying to do is just poke around here, around these little transistors which amplify the signal. And so for example, I can hear the signal coming into the base of this one, come out of the emitter. Nothing on collector because that's its voltage input. But from that emitter, goes into the base of this other one. And it also comes out of its emitter. But the signal seems to be passed on to the next transistor through the collector. And there's basically nothing coming out of that. And from there it passes on to the base of this one. Oops, I'm trying to... nothing comes out of the emitter of this one either. And nothing out of the collector. That's its voltage source. But basically that signal should be coming out of this emitter here. And as you can hear, there's nothing. And so from that emitter, it basically goes over here past these little resistors, down here through this capacitor, and it should be coming out of here. But there's nothing in there. So I would say that maybe it's either one of these two transistors here. And so this is what I see with voltage measurements. When I touch the base of this first transistor here, I get 1.6 volts. Its collector is 14 volts, which is its voltage input. Its emitter is 1 volt, and that goes onto the base of this one. So it's also 1 volt, and its emitter here on the second one is, where is that? Trying to get a 0.4, and then its collector on this one is 7 volts, which seems a little bit low. It comes in as 14 volts through this resistor, and then on the other side I've only got that 7 volts, so I'm not sure if that really says anything. And then on this base it's also at 7 volts. On this collector it's 14.7, and then there's nothing coming out of here, which I would expect to see some DC voltage coming out of here. And yeah, there's nothing. So I'm gonna check these two transistors here and see what's up with those. Okay, so I took off both of the transistors and I tested them, and there's nothing wrong with them. And so then I figured maybe the reason I'm not getting any signal out of here past this point is because there's that DC right there, and I need to use a coupling cap to be able to hear it. And so I've got a capacitor here on my signal tracer, and when I touch here, you can definitely hear it. And you can hear it's a lot louder than over here at the base. It's the base, that's the collector, that's the output. So it's definitely coming out pretty loud. And when I disconnect the AV input, it goes away, so it's making it past here. So now let me put back this transistor over here and see what that does. Okay, so that actually wasn't due to the decoupling capacitor, which makes sense because the input of this boombox chassis I'm using as a signal tracer should have, a coupling capacitor on the input. Okay, and without the coupling capacitor, you can see when I touch it, we get that signal, but then it drowns out eventually. And I mean, there is a coupling capacitor in the input of this chassis that I'm using as my signal tracer. But the weird thing is, though, we weren't getting this at all before. That wasn't happening before either. And now when I probe the emitter here, which is the output, you can hear it's also giving me a signal. And if I go down here at the very output of the board, it gives me a signal all day. And now on the screen we have video. As you can see, sorry for the crappy angle here, but we do have video now. Okay, so I don't know if it may have been the heat from me soldering and desoldering these transistors, or what may have made them start working all of a sudden. I may have swapped these two, I'm not really sure, but I kind of don't like that it started working that way because that doesn't give me as much certainty that it's actually fixed now. It might be some kind of an intermittent problem or something, or it might have been like a bad solder joint or something like that. But I mean, we clearly saw that there was nothing coming out of here before, and now it's working totally fine. So I'm not really sure what went on there. Okay, and voltage wise, we saw these 7 volts right here, and the reason we get 7 volts is because this transistor is probably set up as a Class A amplifier, so that's why we get half of the incoming 14 volts. Okay, so before, if you remember, there was nothing coming out of this emitter, and now it's 6.5 volts. The collector was, I think, close to 14 volts, and now it's 12.5. So, I mean, clearly before this transistor was totally inactive. So I'm not sure, though, what made it start working. I might just leave it like that, but it doesn't really give me as much certainty. Or I might like mount some regular through-hole transistors on there. So this is what we ended up with. I just ended up tacking 2 BC337s in place of the old ones. I think the old one was BC548 and BC4401 or something like that, or 2SC4401. But I just ended up changing them anyway because I wanted to have that certainty that one of those transistors wasn't faulty and acting intermittent or something like that. So I just ended up putting those in there, and they're working totally fine. The original transistors are actually, like I said, 2 different ones, but the ratings on these 2 should cover both. And here's the video signal. You can see it's working. It looks kind of crappy, but I mean, it is an old movie, and it's a crappy VHS tape, and the cables I'm using are also crappy, so take that into account. And so I'm not sure how much the new transistors are gonna, affect the fidelity of the, the video or whatever. But I mean, it's not that critical. It's not like a high-end video system or anything. The owner just wanted this to hook up his DTV converter up to. And yeah, who knows how long this thing's gonna be used, and etc. So I mean, bit of a hack repair, but it's fine. And there it is with the DTV converter hooked up, and it's working good.